FBI profiler Will Graham is coaxed out of retirement to help the FBI catch a vicious serial killer called the Tooth Fairy. To help him, Graham enlists the aid of his old friend, convicted serial killer Hannibal Lecter, who Graham had caught years earlier. It's a race against time as the Tooth Fairy targets another family and makes it known that he has a different name for himself, the Great Red Dragon. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre. And this is Filmgasm. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Filmgasm podcast. In honor of the upcoming 100th Oscar Sunday on The Silence of the Lambs, we are tackling Hannibal Lecter on this show and discussing the 2002 prequel Red Dragon. I know this was your first time with this film, so first impressions, what'd you think?
It was good. It has a very similar structure to Silence of the Lambs, which I know you told me it's the same writer coming back from that movie, which makes sense. And usually that's like a negative for me when a film kind of follows the same structure as a prior one. But they do it well enough here that I was actually I was fine with it and along for the ride the whole way through. Really was impressed with how many fucking names, like the cast they got pulled together for this movie. Really like the cast. Overall, really good movie. This for a series that I would say its sequels amongst the horror community are very hit and miss. This was a better sequel.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hannibal 2001 disappointed a lot of people. I think after Lambs, the expectations for a follow up were high, and it didn't deliver. It was a huge financial hit, but it didn't deliver. And Red Dragon was another opportunity to kind of do things the right way. And I think it clicks. I think it's a solid trilogy. Works. The Anthony Hopkins Lecter trilogy works for me anyway. One day we'll do Hannibal, and I'll be able to voice my opinion on that film, which has grown on me. But today I get to do it for Red Dragon. And this movie freaked me the fuck out when I was a kid, and I watched it for the first time. I saw this one before I ever saw Lambs. I think my mom was watching it. I was 9 or 10 years old, and I wandered in, as I often did, to family watching movies that were way too grown up for me, and nobody told me to leave.
You have a lot of stories with these films, you wandering in and them just being like, sit down.
But it's not that they said sit down, it's just that they didn't have the energy to convince me to go, and they also didn't want to turn off the movie, so they just said fuck it, just let me sit there and hope I would go. And I never left.
If he gets scarred, he gets scarred. Fuck it.
Yeah. I got a few of these. There's a specific scene in this movie, which we'll get to, that gave me nightmares. It's when I was like, oh no, I got up and left. And yeah, I'll talk at length when we get there. But eventually I was like, this is good. So I watched the rest of them, and I love this franchise. So Red Dragon is a follow-up to the 2001 film Hannibal, which didn't get the best reviews from critics, but was still a box office success. Silence of the Lambs screenwriter Ted Tally decided to return to pen Red Dragon, which received much better reviews. Tally won an Oscar for Silence of the Lambs for screenplay. So naturally they were like, Hannibal didn't work out that well for people, so let's get Tally back to do a proper Hannibal Lecter movie. And it worked out. Red Dragon.
This was a huge financial hit too. I know for a lot of horror fans, this is a personal favorite amongst I would say I hear this in silence when it comes to this franchise that fans just go ape shit over. So it has a good reputation. It was a financial success. Critics enjoyed it. So this is definitely a case where going back to the drawing board was definitely in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And considering this is not a Clarice Starling story, they didn't have to deal with that whole fiasco. So this was just, get somebody who can kind of counterbalance Anthony Hopkins, and they got Edward Norton, who is good. I think he was a little miscast in this. I would have gone with somebody a little bit more older, but I think he works for the movie. He's fine. More on that in a bit. First, Red Dragon was based on the first Lecter book by Thomas Harris. It was published in 1981. It was first adapted to film in 1986 under the title Manhunter, which was directed by Michael Mann. The film was a box office failure, but has since gathered a cult following. So technically, Red Dragon is a remake. And Manhunter is not bad. I get why people love it. It's just got a much different vibe from these films and has its dull moments too. But it's got a decent cast. Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter. Tom Noonan plays Francis Dollarhide. So pretty good people in there.
Yeah, I think most people can probably agree that the lowest point this franchise has ever gotten was Hannibal Rising. So,
yeah, and we'll have plenty to say about that on Friday. I can't wait personally. I'm excited to just cross it off my list.
Yeah, I'll say it's one I haven't ever finished. I remember I caught it on a movie channel one day and I started watching. I was like, God, this is shitty. And like I turned it off. I was like, I can't.
Hannibal Rising is the only one of Thomas Harris's Lecter books I stopped reading. I got 3 chapters in and thought this is fucking horrible, and I stopped. But I did read Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal, and all 3 were really good books. Pretty close too. There's very little they didn't put in the movies. Pretty damn close. Hannibal is the biggest change because the end of Hannibal was very different, and is the reason Jodie Foster was like, "I'm not doing this." But then weirdly, they just changed the movie anyway, and she still didn't do it.
Yeah, so she didn't want to do what they put. What do you mean? Like they had the actual book ending in the script and she didn't want to do it?
The original script had the ending of the book was the ending of the film. And she didn't want to do that because, spoiler alert, the end of Hannibal, somehow Hannibal seduces Clarice and they run off together.
Yeah, I'm not hearing about that. That. Yeah, okay.
So she was like, absolutely not. And I think that's what caused Jonathan Demme to jump ship too. But then they changed the script and made it so that, Clarice maintains her integrity. Hannibal gets away on his own. Everybody wins. And they still didn't come back.
So weird that they bent over backwards for those two. And they were like, yeah, no.
I think at that point, they both were like, this isn't worth it anyway. This isn't going to work. And it would have if they just held on a little bit longer.
A little bit. A tad bit longer.
Red Dragon was directed by Brett Ratner, director of The Family Man, Tower Heist, X-Men The Last Stand, and the Rush Hour trilogy. Ratner was canceled a few years back after he said some homophobic slurs in front of a camera, which you don't do unless you're a fucking idiot. And
one of the pretty bad ones too. Like what's going like hard?
He was gonna produce the Oscars one year, and Eddie Murphy was gonna host for him. And they said something about dress rehearsal, and Ratner just off the cuff went, no, dress rehearsals for,
Oh my God.
Insert gay slur here. So, and he said that to reporters and they're like, what the fuck? And he immediately was like, the Academy was like, nope, get out of here. And I think that was when they went, I think either Billy Crystal ended up hosting or they went hostless. I don't remember. But yeah, Eddie Murphy didn't get to host the Oscars.
I love how quick for once the Oscars were like, yeah, nope, not doing that. But then Will Smith slapped someone on stage and like, let's just hold on, guys. Let's just take a moment.
It is weird. The Academy picks the strangest battles. They really do.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything like they shouldn't have known what they did. I'm just saying it's funny how like in that moment they did probably the right thing for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
The right thing. But then like years later, they're like, the right thing would have been to escort the guy who just assaulted someone on stage out of the fucking building. They're like, no. He has to get his Oscar.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
It's weird. But also I think it's weirder that the guy who made Rush Hour somehow made a better Hannibal Lecter movie than Ridley Scott.
That is weird. He was apparently homophobic.
Yeah.
Made a better Hannibal, because you could argue, and I think the show, I believe I was hearing a lot of fans shipping them on the show, but the show kind of played with that whole relationship between, Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter. So it's like the subtext is there. So It's funny that somehow the guy who made, like I said, the Rush Hour trilogy and a homophobic slur did a better Hannibal movie with the relationship that would later on become a homosexual subtext.
Yeah.
Very interesting to me.
Weirdly, in Hannibal, Ray Liotta's character mocks Hannibal Lecter because he thinks he's gay because he's into all this artsy fartsy stuff, as he calls it. So like, there's even more homophobic shit in Hannibal than there is in Red Dragon.
God damn it!
What a weird situation. Yeah, fucking crazy. So Ratner hasn't really been seen since. Odds are, if he's that open to using homophobic slurs in public, what the fuck else is he doing?
I love how you were that he hasn't been seen since. He might be at his mansion, he might be in his house. We don't know. We haven't seen him since. He's gone.
Yeah, he's not getting Rush Hour 4 ain't happening. That's for damn sure. He's not getting any high profile gigs anymore. Sure. No one wants to work with him.
Even if he was, he hadn't said what he said. And he was, if Lethal Weapon 5 and Austin Powers 4 and insert any other long talked about sequel I've taught me, Rush Hour 4 probably still would not have happened, even if he was still working today.
Fair enough. But then I look at like Bill and Ted Face the Music, which was really good.
Yeah, but they both wanted to come back. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winters. I don't think Jackie Chan, I don't think wants to do another Rush Hour. I think he's all but fucking retired anyway.
It's true. And I don't know what the hell Chris Tucker's doing these days.
He pops up randomly in movies like Silver Linings Playbook.
Odd. But yeah, Brett Ratner made Red Dragon, and somehow it was great. Now let's talk about this very impressive cast.
So you didn't pull off the same thing with X-Men: The Last Stand, though.
Yeah, that movie.
Probably because he's homophobic.
That's true, because the X-Men have the whole point of the X-Men. It's an allegory for homosexuality. That is why X-Men 3 is not great.
Did we just come up with a reason why X-Men Last Stand sucks?
Well, that, and also, fucking up the Dark Phoenix saga for the first time.
Other than the things we already know.
Goofy Juggernaut. Like, there's a lot of reasons X-Men The Last Stand is
other than the reasons we already know, did we just find a new reason?
Maybe. Sure. Why not? Honestly, X-Men 3, I don't think it's anywhere near the worst X-Men movie anymore. It's gotten better because we've gotten worse movies.
That still sucks to me. It's not gotten better.
I don't mind.
We have gotten worse movies.
Yeah.
I would argue Origins Wolverine might be like the bottom of the fucking barrel for me.
No way. Nothing beats Dark Phoenix.
Oh, you're right. I try to block that one out.
Yeah. That is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Dark Phoenix was bad. I didn't like New Mutants all that much either. When I finally watched New Mutants, I was like, God, this was not that good.
I expected such a dumpster fire that what I got didn't bother me nearly as much as I thought it was going to. So I didn't think that was horrible.
I don't think it was horrible. I just thought it was aggressively bland.
That's true.
Not just bland, aggressively bland.
Well, when I found out that the original cut had John Hamm as Mr. Sinister, and they decided to abandon that, I was like, what the fuck's wrong with these people?
Yeah, build up for nothing. Like they tried, apparently we want to tease it in Apocalypse. Then they dropped that tease. Like, oh, we'll just tease the New Mutants. And then they dropped that tease. I was like, stop dropping your goddamn tease if you want to use Mr. Sinister. Fuck. Just fucking tease them and use them.
I found out also the original plot of Dark Phoenix involved the Skrulls, but Marvel was like, no, those belong to us now. And Fox was like, they had very little left they could use. So they just made up some alien race and said, Jessica Chastain, do your best.
Did Marvel tell them that as they were buying them? Like, oh, you want to use that? Yeah, that's ours, and we're buying you. So, yeah.
Well, I think the Skrulls counted as an Avengers villain, not an X-Men villain. So, Marvel was already using them for Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a whole thing. I don't remember. I remember reading this a few years ago and thinking, this is stupid.
You think, Marvel was like the guys in South Park? Remember every time they went to the episode, the guys kept rubbing their nipples? Every time they got one over them, that was Marvel. Every time Fox had to ask, hey, can we use this character? And they had to be like, as per the agreement.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, they definitely were, especially with Fox, because that they were so fucking protective of the X-Men. in the Fantastic Four. They did not want to play in the sandbox. Yeah. At least Tony's begrudgingly letting them, everybody play together. But there's always this vibe of like, I could throw you out of the sandbox at any moment.
I feel like Sony thinks they have that vibe, but really it's Marvel being like, try to leave us. See how well it does. We've seen Morbius.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Ratner made the first bad X-Men movie.
Good job, Ratner.
Yeah, way to go. Good job. Two-time Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins returns to the role of Dr. Hannibal Lecter. He won his first Oscar for playing Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, and he won his second for his performance in The Father. He was also nominated for his performances in The Remains of the Day, Nixon, Amistad, and The Two Popes. And he is, without a doubt, the greatest Hannibal Lecter will ever have. Nobody's gonna top Anthony Hopkins Lecter ever. In all three of these films, he is the best thing about him.
Not even Mads Mikkelsen. I heard he was really good in the show.
Mikkelsen's good, but Hopkins really taps into this perfect fine line between like psycho and genius that nobody else really can do with Lecter. You like it, there's something you like about him. You want him to like think that you're smart. It's weird. He's like fooling the audience as he's fooling, Clarice and Graham. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Now Hopkins, like, really, there's a reason he's so tied to this character. Like he's not, and I hear it all the time, right? He only has like 5 to minutes of screen time in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
but it feels like more because he just owns every second of that time he's on it. And what I love is that in these sequels, when they give him more time, and usually that's a bad thing. Usually it's like, oh shit, more time, that means his impact's gonna get lessened. He's not gonna be nearly as terrifying because we see him a lot more. It's the complete opposite. Hopkins does just a good job in the role that like you're begging for more each time. You're like, no, I want more with him. Just give me more.
Yeah. I read that Hopkins took the Red Dragon role mainly because he wanted to remind people that Hannibal Lecter is not an anti-hero. You're not supposed to like this guy. He's supposed to be an evil psycho. And so he tried to, I guess, pull more of that into Red Dragon. And I think he pulled it off. There's some scary Hannibal moments in Red Dragon.
I mean, he literally gave the killer they're looking for the Will Graham's home address.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrifying. Like, hey, just so you know, he knows where you live now.
Yeah, he almost gets him killed. It's great. More on that later. Oscar nominee Edward Norton plays FBI agent Will Graham. Norton was nominated for his performances in Primal Fear, American History X, and Birdman. He was also in Fight Club, The Grand Budapest Hotel, 25th Hour, The Italian Job, and Motherless Brooklyn, among others. And Edward Norton's a good actor. I don't think he was great as Will Graham.
I mean, he's pulling to me like a typical Norton performance of like, it's nothing I've seen him do in other films in this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't mean that bad way. I like him as an actor. I think he's an okay person. All the stories I've heard about how pretty aggressive he is with having a lot of control over his parts.
Yeah.
Which obviously not sit well with Marvel. That's why you do not see him as the Hulk still. But he's always been a good actor. I've always really enjoyed him. And actually, I'll say it, I really like his Incredible Hulk. I feel like I have to say this because way too many people shit on that film. And it's a fun goddamn film. Okay? Incredible Hulk. Saying it right here. Can't speak on behalf of all Filmgasms. I don't know Austin's thoughts or Josh's. But as it stands, I, Caleb Leger, enjoy the Incredible Hulk quite a bit.
Yeah, The Incredible Hulk's a fun movie. And I know Austin's a very big Edward Norton fan. So I'm sure he probably likes the Incredible Hulk. I'll ask him.
Austin, if you're listening to this episode before Connor ask you, text the group, let me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like Norton. Of his various roles, I think he does get in this. It's not my favorite. It's not like Fight Club or even like his take on Bruce Banner. I was supposed to say Wayne. Jesus Christ. I think it's because Batman's on HBO Max, so it's like I keep getting reminded of that every time I go on Max.
Yeah.
I like his take on Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Yeah, I liked him in Birdman as playing this like just real pompous asshole actor. Like,
Yeah.
he's a good actor. I can see where you like. I'm with you. This isn't his best performance, his best role for me.
Well, he's very open about what's a paycheck gig and what is meaningful to him. And he said, he used the money from this to finance 25th Hour, which is something he really wanted to do. So yeah, he's, you can tell when he's committed and when he's not. And I think I wanted a Graham who was more, who was older, who was more jaded, somebody who's, just burned out. And Norton just had this like fresh face idealism that I just didn't buy for that, version of Graham.
Well, and I felt like in that case, it was more of the writers, again, kind of what I mentioned earlier, them kind of harkening back to the structure of Silence to the point that they even got like a young, fresh faced FBI agent, like, Jodie Foster was in Silence of the Lambs.
That's a good point.
And honestly, in this case, sorry, I was about to say, in this case, this is probably where it worked against the film, whereas everything else about following the structure worked for it. I'd say it worked against it in this regard.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, the original guy they wanted was Ethan Hawke.
Would have been good, but he was still young at that time. I mean, this is 2002. Like, yeah. This isn't too long after he did Training Day.
Yeah, it is weird. They were going for younger, late 20s, and it's just, I don't buy that for who's supposed to be a seasoned FBI profiler who has caught many different serial killers, and it's got, it's burned him out.
Yeah, like you get Ethan Hawke now, like we're talking Northman, which I've seen already. I know you're seeing it later, so but you'll get what I'm going to say it. But like Northman, Moon Knight, the upcoming fucking Black Phone, Ethan Hawke. Yeah, sure, I'd be down for that. Like, but like a fresh face off of Training Day, Ethan Hawke. Like, no, he's not going to do Grizzled. He literally just did a movie where he's the rookie fucking cop.
Yeah, I don't get where they're trying to place this character here. I also love that to make Lecter look younger, they just gave him like black hair. I mean, he clearly looks, 11 years older, but whatever, suspension of disbelief is a big part of this movie.
Well, that's always been the funny thing with the Hannibal series is that, like, at least with like, Jason and Michael, put that hockey mask on them and stuff and just hope you got a good actor. Or you usually do test screens to ensure you get a good actor for the role. But with Hannibal, like, you can't do anything to Anthony Hopkins. Like, his face is front and center. And you decide to do a fucking prequel to a film, to a sequel, the third installment that came out 11 years later. And I think when he did Silence, he wasn't in his 20s. He wasn't young when he did that movie, I think. He was already kind of older guy.
I think he was in his 40s.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, he's going to age 11 years with that.
Yeah, it's still, his performance outshined that for sure.
Yeah. I did think I did like the ponytail for whatever fucking reason they gave him at the beginning. I had to pause. I was like, is that fucking ponytail?
He had to look even younger. And that's how you make older guys look younger in films. You give them ponytails. Next up, we've got Oscar nominee Ralph Fiennes, who plays Francis Dollarhide, the Great Red Dragon. Fiennes was nominated for his performances in Schindler's List and The English Patient. Fiennes is perhaps best known these days for his role as Lord Voldemort in the Harry Potter franchise, as well as his roles in the Grand Budapest Hotel, In Bruges, Skyfall, and Clash of the Titans, among other films. And he is absolutely fucking terrifying in this movie. Ralph Fiennes, this is one of my favorite performances of his. He is so scary. He's so committed.
You think this is what got him the Harry Potter role? You think this is what they watched him? Yeah, that's all Lord Voldemort right there.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure, this, along with a little bit of Schindler's List, considering Voldemort's basically Wizard Hitler. I'm sure there was a mixture there.
Odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was one of the notes, but I was like, he's really terrible. I'm always like, I know we've talked about before how much we both love Ralph Fiennes. Anytime I see a movie of his I haven't seen before, it's like, can I not love this guy any more than I already do? Is it getting into man crush levels yet for me? Like,
Well, I think he's an incredibly
awesome.
talented actor, but also he seems like a genuinely nice guy, which I like. People who tend to play like sadistic psychos tend to be really nice people in real life. I find that funny.
Yeah, and then your superheroes fronting a franchise. Flash, apparently are assholes in real life.
Um, I love, Ray Fiennes in this movie. The turmoil, the fight between Francis and the Red Dragon is so neat to see. This, these dueling personalities, and I love that there's like a subplot where Francis really does want to stop this. He wants to, he doesn't want to hurt Reba, and he loses that fight. It's really interesting. It's such a different animal than like Buffalo Bill, who's just a straight up monster. But this guy is like nuanced. There's something human in what he's doing. It's very weird and freaky.
Well, Buffalo Bill is your stereotypical, like, he just wants to kill because he enjoys it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Mindhunter would have had a great explanation for the whole thing. Had we got in our fucking third season.
Read the book. They talk to Ed Gein.
I will read the book if they talk. Okay.
Yeah.
But so he was molded into a stereotypical, if you will, like psychopath, serial killer. Whereas now you're dealing with someone that is along the line of they're sort of serial killer, but you hear about a lot, especially with before we took mental health a little bit more seriously than we do. I still think we have ways to go with it, but before we actually took it seriously, but it's molded after that type of like people that were schizophrenic or bipolar and weren't being medicated. And one of those personalities was violent and aggressive, not good. That's why you hear there's a term called violent schizophrenia people.
Yep.
So and those are people that are hearing voices that tell them to do really bad fucking things.
Yeah.
Like you see in this movie. To me, they molded it a lot after that type of serial killer, like those affected by a mental health problem.
Turns out when you berate your grandson for wetting his bed and threaten to cut off his dick, you're going to create a monster.
Yeah, so Will, talk to your son. That's what I'm saying. Because at the end of this movie, talk to your goddamn son.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. That was dark. I found it interesting that they modeled Dollarhide after the BTK killer.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Dennis Rader caught in 2005 after he found out the cops lied to him about being able to trace a floppy disk. It's one of my favorite catching a psycho stories ever.
Literally, that guy could have died. Never been caught. Could have been like the Zodiac killer.
Yep.
I'm not condoning this anyway, but I'm just saying he was there. And then one dumbass phone call.
Yep. Had to read in the newspaper, like, whatever happened to the BTK killer? Oh, well, I'll tell you what happened to. Yeah. Crazy. And then just like, hey, police, can you trace this? They're like, no. What an idiot. God.
Of course we can't, Dennis. Where do you live, by the way?
My favorite part is when he got arrested, he was like, they lied to me. How could you lie to me? He was so hurt. Fucking asshole. But yeah, they modeled, I guess, BTK's, MO inspired the Red Dragon.
Okay.
Partially. I mean, I don't think BTK was worshiping a painting or, thought he was a fucking dragon. So
yeah, I thought they would model him. I thought for sure he was modeled after someone like the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez.
Well, Ramirez was not organized. He was very much like random, like, I just want to cause carnage and I'll break into any house I see. It's all like, there wasn't a lot of, thinking behind that. Whereas Dollarhide is very much like vetting these families and planning it out. It's very methodical.
Yeah. I just thought that because they are dealing with someone that has like multiple personalities or is a violent schizophrenia, that he'd be modeled after someone more along those lines. But I get the BTK thing.
Well, I'm sure that when you're creating a fictional serial killer, you pick and pull from all sorts of real life sources. So I'm sure there's a little bit of Ramirez in here. I see it.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. It's crazy. There's so much to pick from. I mean, we both listened to Dan Cummins' podcast, Time Suck, and there's like, so many serial killers out there.
I want to also listen. I listened to that in last podcast on left. And yeah, they cover a lot. I got their book, Last Book on Left. They covered some big names. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
What's funny is that, real quick, these serial killers happen in really interesting times. Like 60s and 70s were the big decade for America's serial killers, two big decades. When, you know, it was known police weren't going to look at things that involved, you know, minorities or women of a certain job, you know.
Yeah.
They weren't going to look in.
Cops didn't care about hookers. Yeah.
They weren't going to look into that. So that's how a lot of that got rid of back, you know, like I said, you know, we didn't really take mental health as serious as we did now. So that was a lot of reasons for that. Like there was just so many reasons on why those decades, and we don't have the amount we do now per se, right? There's not, you don't hear about as much anymore as you used to.
Well, I mean, I always think about something Ed Kemper said in Mindhunter, where he said, you know, you only hear about the ones who got caught. So like, I don't know. You know, maybe there's a bunch of active ones right now. They've just gotten really, really good at hiding.
We'll see about that.
It's freaky. I mean, it is, you know, these days very, very hard to stay off the grid or avoid cameras. Like we're so plugged in these days that it's really hard to get away with anything.
That's what I say. A lot of it, it's why it's kind of crazy, but it's just like different time necessitated it.
Yeah.
Or like, I was it in the last book on the left, the book they did a Russian one, and of course, guess what time it took place during? When they were Soviet Russia.
Oh, dude, so many serial killers came out of Soviet Russia.
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, yeah, that tracks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you know, these environments of horror, of evil, are going to create psychos, are going to create people with a mindset of just, you know, death, destruction, and chaos. It's, you know, some people murder, some people become, you know, rapists, some people become dictators, but all of that, you know, these worlds create these mindsets. It's crazy. That's why you got to hug your kids, man. You got to hug your kids. You got to not threaten to cut off their dicks, and you got to just, you know, let them know you're proud of them.
And if you have to tell them that because a serial killer has a knife to their face, have a very long talk with them afterwards that you didn't mean a thing that came out of your mouth. It was merely to save your life.
Did they still have s'mores? I would. I feel like that's going to kill the s'more vibe. Like, I feel like the kid's going to be like, I don't want s'mores anymore.
I would have looked at my kid and be like, all right, I know dad's bleeding out on the floor right now, but I still want that s'more. So go on, Scamp, get that marshmallow. Or I do mean everything I said to you. Go on, get on out there.
Continuing on, we've got Oscar nominee Harvey Keitel as Jack Crawford, Will's boss. Keitel was nominated for his performance in Bugsy, which you will be seeing pretty soon.
Yes, I will.
He plays what's his name? Mickey Cohen. Pretty cool.
Mickey Cohen. That mobster sounds familiar. Was that played by? No, it wasn't Johnny Depp that played him. Was it
Sean Penn in Gangster Squad?
Oh, okay. I was like, someone fucking played him. No, I was thinking Johnny Depp. I know he did that movie Black Mass, but I forgot he was like.
That was Whitey Bulger. Different time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Some of Keitel's other films include Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, Bad Lieutenant, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and National Treasure. And the character of Crawford is a different guy every single time. It's been Scott Glenn, it's been Lawrence Fishburne, and it's been Harvey Keitel. It's a good, you know, he's kind of the moral compass almost.
What I love is that like he's played the same, but almost not the same by each actor. Yeah. Like you get the idea that like he wants to do the right thing. You know, he's head of the FBI. He very much wants to do the right thing, but each actor brings something different to the table. And I like what Harvey Keitel brings, but that's just because I like Harvey Keitel a lot.
Yeah, me too. He always looks super pissed off about something.
Every time.
I love it. He's just angry. Love him in National Treasure. Somebody's got to go to prison, man. I always love that line. He's crazy. I still got to see Bad Lieutenant. I've heard that is like a fucking crazy, weird, like wild movie.
I've seen it. It's fucking out there. He does some. You will not like his character. He does some incredibly heinous shit throughout the movie.
I've heard he hangs dong. Is that true?
Oh, he hangs dong. He
Yep.
probably hangs dong.
Nice.
I know they made. There's another one called Bad Lieutenant, Port of New Orleans. It has nothing to do with the first one. It's not a sequel.
I've seen that one. I have seen that one. That one's pretty good.
That's what I know. It has Nicolas Cage, and I was like, Nicolas Cage, interesting.
So
Does he hang dong?
I don't think he has. But I won't lie. I'm curious.
I don't think the world's ready for Cage's dong.
I feel like that's the last thing we'll all see when the world ends. Like we'll finally get like it's too much for the world.
We can't handle that.
We can't.
The unbearable weight of Cage's dick.
That's the sequel. I don't know. Yeah, but Bad Lieutenant's on my list. I think I'd like to do it on the show. I think that'd be fun to just unpack that fucking mess of a movie.
It's something.
Yeah. Next, Oscar nominee Emily Watson plays Reba McClane, Francis's blind girlfriend. A lot of Oscar nominees in this movie. This has a very high pedigree cast. Watson was nominated for performances in Breaking the Waves and Hillary and Jackie. She was also in Punch Drunk Love, Gosford Park, The Theory of Everything, and Equilibrium. And I just feel so fucking sad for this character in this movie. Just, she's dating this hulking, possibly handsome, quiet dude who turns out to be a absolute monster. But she's so happy. Yeah. She's like, I found this nice guy. And no, you didn't.
No, she found a nice guy that she was really quick for a certain friendly service.
Yeah, apparently he's packing some heat and she was feeling cold.
Yeah, that was Jesus. Wow.
Yeah, I improvise a lot of this shit. Anyway, yeah, it's a weird scene, but she's just, trying so hard to make a relationship really quickly, and turns out she can pick him.
Yeah. Like, look, I've been on plenty of dates. It's never been that quick with that particular act. Like, they were sitting on the couch. She scoots right on over, grabs his dick, and is like, I know what to do with this. And he immediately proceeds to give him a blowjob. I'm like, that was incredibly quick. I applaud you, sir and ma'am. But wow.
It is, yeah, it's funny how quickly shit moves in movies. It gives you such a skewed worldview of how this shit works. It's funny.
Yeah, but it's not like porn, right? Where they would have just been doing it for like 30 or more minutes straight.
I hope to God this shit does not have a porn parody. I'm not watching no Hannibal Lecter porn parody. Jesus
no,
Christ.
It does.
Oh God.
I'll watch it. I'm okay with
I'm
that.
not watching that shit. I don't want to see that.
Look, I've seen a Walking Dead one. I have no shame. And yes, the zombies got involved in on the action.
Oh my God. I'm not. No. Bad. Jesus.
It wasn't that bad. God.
It feels like necrophilia, so no.
They were played by actors. It's not necrophilia.
I know that. I know it's not real zombies, dipshit. I just think it's fucked up.
You may sound like real zombies, okay? Don't judge me. Because I watched the whole thing. God.
Oh my God.
Finally, two zombies blowing Rick.
Oh God.
That's how it starts.
How do they not like? I mean, if you want to be realistic, they're gonna bite that thing off like it's a summer sausage.
Well, no, because they're like sex zombies. They like sex.
Sex zombies. They're not like dressed up like zombies, are they?
Their faces look like zombies, kind of like porn quality zombie faces.
This is
but
so
really amazing bodies.
This is so fucked up. I can't get behind this one. That's too fucked up.
Your loss.
Apparently. Emily Watson does a good job for this character.
Yeah, outside of that one very quick relationship scene, she does a great job.
Yeah, and she has to live with the fact that she blew the red dragon.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Blue, and I'm going to assume swallow.
You know what? I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
If he was even paying attention, I don't think he was paying attention.
No, he was very focused on the TV that he paused. I will say it took me a minute to realize she was blind. Her introduction, I was like watching it, and then like when he took her home and she started doing her stuff, I was like, oh shit, she's blind. It's like, did I miss a line of dialogue? Did I miss something?
Yeah, you 100% did, because as soon as we meet her, we know she's blind. He meets her in the dark, and she tells him directions of how to walk towards the light. And she's like staring right, towards like the wall. He's over there. Like, yeah, she's blind.
I wasn't paying attention, so clearly, because I didn't know.
Jesus Christ. Finally, Oscar winner Philip Seymour Hoffman plays sleazy tabloid reporter Freddie Lowndes. Hoffman won his Oscar for his performance in Capote, was also nominated for his performances in Charlie Wilson's War, Doubt, and The Master. Hoffman tragically passed away in 2014 at 46 years old from a drug overdose. The film community has never really felt the same. He's maybe the greatest character actor of all time. And I love him as Freddie Lowndes. He is such a piece of shit in this movie. Just an absolute sleazebag of a tabloid journalist who, frankly, kind of gets what he deserves.
Yes. Yeah, what was it? He like posted the dude's location in the hospital.
Yeah, well, he posted photos of him in the hospital, and he, revealed the whole like working with Lecter thing on the Red Dragon. He's just an absolute like cancer to them.
Yeah, I like how when they're like, okay, let's do this thing where we tell you everything so that we can throw them out, and then he ends it with like, all right, so I do something for you, you do something for me, and I'm like, oh my God, he's one of those.
Yep. Well, I love when he gets captured. He gets captured because the Red Dragon parks in his spot, and he's like, "Hey, do you see the sign?" And he gets pulled into the van. Oh, Freddie.
And this is why I didn't risk it at the theater when the dude sat in my spot. He may have been the Red Dragon.
You know what? That's a good point. Yeah, you don't want to piss off a serial killer.
I just sat in another empty seat that no one else claimed anyway, and I still watched the movie.
Reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series, when this dude is having a bad day. He's driving home in Gotham City. This van in front of him is going too slow, so he cuts the guy off and is like, "Learn to drive, jerk!" And it turns out that guy is the Joker.
God.
And the Joker, like, he's like, "Oh no!" And the Joker like runs him down and says like, "That wasn't very nice." And like it's hilarious. Like, of all the people to shout road rage at, you did it to the Joker.
Look, that's on that dude, because if you live in a city like Gotham, maybe don't risk it at all.
No. Yeah. Why would you ever live in Gotham if like all this shit happens on a daily basis? Like, you can't go to the museum, you can't go to the bank, something's gonna go down. Anyway.
I mean, I wouldn't, but if you do, don't do things to anger a potential criminal in fucking Gotham. Just don't.
That was so funny. He's just like, "Oh," and Joker's smiling at him like, "Oh, my day just got interesting." It's great.
I was just going to go home and watch some TV, but now
I think he says that like, "I was just on my way home, but now I have a plaything." Like, it's fun. He even tells him like, "I'm going to call you a year from now with a favor, and if you don't deliver, I'm going to kill your family." God. And the guy forgets. He changes his name. He moves to Florida, and he still gets that phone call. He's like, "I've been keeping tabs. It's time for you to do that favor." It's
God, what fucking episode?
It's a great episode. It's so good. It ends with the guy actually scaring Joker. Like, he throws a bomb at him, and Joker's like, "Oh my God!" But it turns out the bomb was a fake, and the guy's like, "Gotcha." And Joker's like, "You son of a." You should check that one out. It's really good. I'll try to remember the name of it. But yeah, good stuff. Anyway, moving on. Red Dragon has an IMDb score of 7.2, Rotten Tomatoes score of 68%. Not bad. It was a huge hit, grossing $209 million on a budget of $78 million. marked the end of Hopkins' tenure as Hannibal Lecter. The franchise was rebooted as a series on NBC titled Hannibal in 2013, which starred Mads Mikkelsen as Lecter and Hugh Dancy as Graham. Ran for 3 seasons, got canceled because no one was fucking watching it. And then as soon as it was canceled, everyone was like, what happened to Hannibal? It's like, you weren't fucking watching it. That's what happened.
It, and like, this is kind of like how I always say about like what I've always said so much about movies and people bitching about nothing original coming out, even though, hey, we've had a weekend just now with 2 original films. Yeah. Actually 3 if you count the animated film for the family, for your families.
Oh, yeah, there. The Bad Guys. I forgot about that one.
So technically 3 if you want to count the family film, which I do. Let's make it 3 besides that.
Okay.
But like, yeah, it's kind of like I see it happen on TV all the time, man. There'll be this show, it gets critical acclaim, but it's like so low people are watching it. And the moment it gets canceled, all of a sudden, all these people come out of the woodwork like they've been watching since day one, being like, wait. We want that last season. We were watching it. We love it. I'm like, well, I mean, if you were, you would have gotten that season. That's how it works, guys. Like, you have to watch it. I was like, now, were you watching it? But like, I don't know. Just going on a limb here. Were you illegally watching it? Is that what you were doing? Because guess what? That doesn't give them the views. It's literally what happened to Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It got no fucking. It was a ratings disaster, but it was the highest rated pirated show, or the highest pirated show, something like that.
2 out of the 3 times I met Bruce Campbell, he was very, very much trying to push Ash versus Evil Dead. He was like, you download the Stars app. It's a free trial for a week. You can knock this show out in a week. Like he was pushing that. And I just was like, I watch this show and I watch it for you and it's really good. And I feel really bad.
Yeah. He did Yorkie-thon with Adam Green and Joe Lynch recently. And they talked about that because he was like, fans wanted more, but they should have, he goes, they should have fucking watched instead of it being the most pirated fucking show. He's like, so no, he goes, you're not getting more. You did this. Well, he hates pirating. Apparently Joe Lynch recounted a story back in like his youth, so like the 80s or 90s here, when he went to a convention, and apparently a friend of his they went to got a fucking bootleg of Army of Darkness on VHS.
Yeah, I remember this story.
Yeah, from a vendor, was super excited, went to go get Bruce Campbell to sign it because the movie wasn't even fucking out yet. And Bruce Campbell was like, hey, where did you get this? Grabs it, like doesn't give it back, goes to that vendor, breaks the fucking VHS in front of him, and goes, I better not fucking see you selling any more of this shit here, and walks back.
Damn.
Like he does not stand for pirating at all. So I get where he's coming from when there's a bit of probably a bit of animosity towards like the fans and how they feel about Ash vs. Evil Dead. Like if you liked it enough, then you should have watched it legally.
Yeah. See, I don't feel bad because I did watch it legally. I was one of the fans trying to help him. I liked that show a lot.
I did too. I have it on Blu-ray right now, all 3 seasons.
So do I.
I really liked it.
Yes, we did. Damn it. Oh, well, Red Dragon. Let's talk some highlights of this film. We don't have to go in order, but like, just moments we liked. I think it opens really cool with, Lecter at the symphony, hearing that one guy fuck up the orchestra and taking care of it. And that's the flautist whose head Clarice finds in the storage locker in The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, I fucking didn't even think about that.
Yep, that's the guy.
Oh, I do like how like that's the world Hannibal lives in his own head. Like, you fucked that up. Well, I have been trying to figure out what to make for dinner tonight.
Yeah. Well, as you know, they mentioned throughout the franchise, he eats the rude. He only eats you if he thinks that getting rid of you will be a betterment to society, which I can kind of get behind that.
Look, after the crazy couple of years we've been having on a political, social, global, economic scale, whatever ism you want to point in there, I'm kind of down with it.
Hannibal Lecter should have been, given his own government office, like his own department of cannibalism to just take care of things.
Can you imagine if, like, instead of me having that seat at the theater, it was Hannibal Lecter, and that guy was sitting there? Oh my god,
He would have eaten that guy straight up. Although if he was in your seat and you said something, he probably would have been like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and moved out because he's not rude.
See how that works? I would have been fine. He would, as long as I kept it like that. I'm like, "Hey, sir, you're in my seat." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, young man. You're right." It would have been like a test. He would have been like, "I'm going to test this young man today. If he's rude to me, he's getting eaten. But if he's nice, he watches the movies and he goes home."
Like the idea that Hannibal Lecter would ever go to the movies is ridiculous. He goes to the symphony and he goes to the stage. He doesn't watch movies.
Deep down, he also loves Nicolas Cage and will go see every movie of his.
It's like his guilty pleasure. Hannibal, he only watches opera and listens to like classical music, but he will watch any film Nicolas Cage is a part of.
And then he talks about it with the same respect at his dinners that he does opera.
Be awesome. But yeah, the flautist goes missing, and he's serving this delicious amuse-bouche to his opera friends, who are all like, "That guy sucked. I'm glad he's gone," which is hilarious.
I would have, like, those are the type of people I just despise. I would have been like, coming in and be like, "God, get me out of this room."
Well, they ask him what this food is, and I love that he's like, "If I tell you, you're not going to try it." Ah, that's creepy. He's
right.
People.
Yeah, I'll say I like it because it's the third film in the series. So, like, as the audience, we know what he means. So it's like a nice little wink, wink to the audience, like, this Riley rascal. So eat before I see it.
This silly goose. Will he ever learn?
Every time I hear silly goose, I think of the episode of South Park that I just fucking had caught on TV one day, where I guess like Mr. Slave or someone kept saying silly goose, so the kids kept saying silly goose.
Oh, it was Big Gay Al was the scout leader.
Yeah.
And he said it, then Randy pulled the car over, like, you call your friend an asshole, right?
Asshole. Yeah. What'd you just say? I said silly goose. No, you call him an asshole right now. I love Carmen after he says it. Don't you call me a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's a great episode. So after dinner, where these people ate human being, and I gotta wonder, like, what's it taste like? What does long pig taste like?
No,
We've all wondered it.
No, I didn't. No, I've never thought what human tastes like, you fucking psycho.
Good for you. Good for you being so noble over there watching your zombie porn.
Yeah, I am noble. Thank you.
It's a curiosity, especially with movies like this. I mean, Hannibal's a damn good chef. He can probably make anything taste good.
All right. Well, apparently I'm talking to a cannibalistic psychopath. I do wonder.
These guys went to so many of his dinner parties. They had to think back like 10 years of human flesh
that they consumed and shit out.
They're all in mental wards now.
I do wonder, had he said it, how many would actually have been on board? There would have been at least one guy that's like, you know what? It does taste a little good.
I would love if he's just incredibly honest about it. They're like, what is this delicious looking amuse-bouche? And he's like, it's people in a red sauce. Like, how many people would be like, oh, you cad, and keep eating? They'd probably be like, he's full of shit. Nobody would believe it. Nobody's going to be just straight up like, oh, of course, it's people. Yeah.
I can't imagine me like you, cad, and doing that laugh you just did. Ha 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 ha. That fake, like, smarmy laugh that seem all rich people love to do when they're having formal dinners with each other.
Oh yeah, the dinner. Yeah, the rich life is just, dinner parties and orchestra and walking past the homeless. Like, that's all it is.
That's why sometimes I wish I could be rich, because I'd be like the total antithesis to that. I'd be like, all right, so we're going to go watch movies. I'm going to blast heavy metal music in my house. And don't ever come over to my house for dinner parties. I don't want to deal with you fuckers. I hate people, so stay the fuck out of my house.
I'm going to have a dinner party. It's a potluck and a cash bar. So show up if you want. I might not be there.
We'll get like the cheapest beer. Fucking Keystone.
I was just about to say Keystone. But you like it's for them. You have like some highbrow imported shit.
Oh yeah, I'm like in the next room having like the fanciest meal with like the fanciest alcohol I could find, just laughing at them like idiots.
Clean up on your way out.
Don't you have the help? I don't have help. I have you.
It's like I have help. You don't.
You guys think you're racist some kind of fucking barn house over there? Think about for yourselves.
God, I want fuck you money so I can actually use it.
Right? You know, in all fairness, if I did that, my housemaids and whatnot, or whatever they call them, they would love me because I'd be like, no, you guys aren't clean after the guests. They can do it themselves.
I'd have like an Alfred, like Batman. I'd treat him like a human being.
Yeah. But I'm also like, just tell them to rinse it and then put in the dishwasher later if you guys want. I don't give a shit, but don't touch it.
Throw it in the neighbor's yard. I'll get more plates. I always got more plates. But yeah, Lecter's dinner party goes well. He's cleaning up, and Will Graham shows up and is like, hey, I think I figured out what's going on with the Chesapeake Ripper. And Lecter's like, oh, do tell. And Graham's like, he's eating body parts. And I love Lecter's like, what? Get the fuck out of here. He gives him this like kind of scoff.
Ha ha ha. Body parts.
Yeah. And yeah, Lecter kind of talks him out of it, like, we'll figure it out. And then as he goes away for some reason, Graham starts looking at the books.
So instead of maybe getting Will out of the house first.
Yeah, let me just go walk away for a little bit while you look at my bookshelf and this book that I have just left out in the open, because apparently I'm way sloppier than I thought I was. You're just writing sweetbreads in a recipe book. Like, why would you do that? Like, know what it is. Who's this for?
Yeah, like you have an FBI agent who we're told constantly is like the best of the best here in your house. So maybe hide your shit better, buddy.
And also, you have the drop on him and you don't go for a kill shot. You stab him in the gut. You don't stab him in the heart or the spine, something. You go for the gut.
Will Graham is not human. He's more human than human, to quote Right Zombie. Because he takes a lot of shots to his body and yet gets out of it just fine.
Yeah, he gets a lot of lucky shots. He stabs Lecter in the gut with the arrows, and Lecter also takes 2 shots to the chest that he survives. And we get the opening credits with the trial. When at the trial, it's like, he fed human flesh to... I would love to see that trial. I really wish we got to see that in one of these movies. Just excerpt something.
I just want to see like the horrified look on like you said, the fucking dinner guest, like, oh, he ate human flesh. I want to see someone break, like someone mentally break at the knowledge they ate human flesh for like a decade because they were friends with Hannibal Lecter.
I got to imagine a couple of them like were fiending for it, like that It's Always Sunny episode where Frank convinced them they ate human, but they actually ate like rotten raccoon meat. They're like, we got to have more. That probably happened to a couple of people. So yeah, years later, we got a new boy in town. Will has retired because Lecter was like really got into his head. When your good friend turns out to be the psycho you've been hunting for quite some time, it's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So this Tooth Fairy, which is such a terrible fucking name, the Tooth Fairy.
I mean, I was about to say, granted, if you're trying to be a psycho killer, I mean, I just take care of business and move on. Do not fuck me up one bit.
You wouldn't know.
Oh, I would know.
Trust me, you wouldn't.
Oh, I would. You don't think I'm keeping tabs on you at all times right now?
Why me? If I know exactly who the killer would be on our team. I'm just not going to say it.
Don't you dare say me, you son of a bitch.
I didn't even say nothing. But interesting that you would go straight there. You hiding something?
I think it's Austin. They're always happy. Always happy. Austin.
I feel like if he ever snaps, it is going to be brutal on somebody. Anyway,
As long as the team, we're good.
nah, always be nice.
Yes. Just kidding. Love you.
Yeah, we love you. So why did they call him the Tooth Fairy again? Because was he biting his victims?
I think it's because it was the biting. I think it was because of biting. Because the fake teeth he kept putting in to bite.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I feel like that's less of a big deal than like the mirrors in the eyes, or
I mean, this one kind of like, for some reason this was like this period. I think because Darkness Falls came out like 3 years later and had the Tooth Fairy as a serial killer. Yeah. So like apparently Hollywood at the time was really into the idea of like Tooth Fairy being a big bad thing, but audiences were not.
Well, the book came out in 1981 and he was the Tooth Fairy in the book. So I don't know if that's.
Look, I don't care.
Fine. Okay. Fine. Well, there goes the next 20 minutes of conversation I had.
How dare you? I'm kidding. Watch what you were going to say.
I just think it's weird that he's a Tooth Fairy, and of course it pisses him off because he's like, "I am the Red Dragon. Don't call me the Tooth Fairy."
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Someone who's in the military with a call sign. If you ever try to make your nickname and or call sign way cooler than it is, you're going to get a shittier one because that's how that shit works. You don't give yourself a cool nickname. You're given one, buddy.
I feel like it works differently in the world of mass murderers.
Yes, but I'm saying like if you're going to sit there and be like, no, I'm the Red Dragon, like I would hope the media goes, okay, all right, yeah, okay, buddy.
Well, I mean, if you're willing to murder reporters to prove it, the reporters are probably going to have no problem calling you the Red Dragon.
But I mean, look at who the reporter was. Maybe if anything, they were like, "Oh, thank God, got rid of that one."
I also hate the name the Tattler for a newspaper. Like, it's so stupid. It's so like juvenile and goofy. Like, why would anybody read this paper?
Well, he was kind of juvenile and goofy now, wasn't he?
Was he running that paper? Like, was that his paper, or was he just working for the Tattler?
That's what I took from him. That was his paper.
Oh, good. Then it died with him. In the book, he fucking survived that.
Ooh, wait, like, was it exactly like how it was I saw in the movie?
Yep.
He was burnt. He has nose band off.
It was his lips.
His lips. Oh.
I thought it was his tongue when I was a kid, but turns out it was his lips.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, rough. Anyway, we'll get there. Crawford shows up because Will's in Miami with a wife and kid, and Crawford's like, "We need you back because apparently there's nobody else in the FBI who can figure this out."
Like all of these movies before and after, you're the only one we have. We don't bother to hire new people.
The entire vast resources of the FBI nationwide, no one comes even close to this guy who accidentally figured out it was Hannibal Lecter. Like, where is the expert opinion here? You didn't figure out it was Lecter. You stumbled onto the word sweetbreads in a book. I think we forget that part.
Yeah, I think you forget too, if like Lecter honestly hadn't acted the way he did, he probably could have talked his ass out of that one.
Yeah. If Lecter just said, like, "I'm tired. I just hosted a dinner party. We'll talk tomorrow. Go home, Will."
Yeah. Instead, Hannibal got really on the defensive very quickly. So yeah, it's just funny to me, like seeing it. I mean, I obviously don't think about it when you're watching, but like it's just like so funny to me in these shows and movies. So they're just like, we can only have you back. And like it's always like FBI or CIA. I'm like, you do realize you hire people, right? Like you hire new people. So you should have people that can do this. Why do you need the old grizzled guy who's retired back?
It's the behavioral science unit, not the behavioral science agent. There's a lot of people in there who do what he does. He probably hired a few of them. So, I mean, come on. It's a little insulting to the rest of the FBI. They're just like, fuck all you guys, only him.
Only him. Especially because like some of those guys in there are probably, not married, no kids. But everyone goes to the retired guy who has a family. So he can be like, hey, yeah, so we need only you. And also, look, we get it. It's dangerous. you're married, you got a kid. We get that. We'll keep them safe. They never keep them safe.
You can't do this job without a little collateral damage. Will, you know that, and we don't have any married people at the like at headquarters. It's got to be you. And at first he's like, absolutely not. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, I'm in.
Yeah, because that's the other trope, right? I told you I was out. Okay. And you're like, okay, I'm actually back in, guys. I just want one movie where they say no and they commit to it. They're like, yeah, no. And then they just stay no the whole time.
I would love that. The whole movie is just him trying to coax the guy. And while this is happening, like 8, 9 more people get killed because no one's investigating it. It's just like we just did Next. They're putting all their resources into this dumb shit while they should be investigating the actual problem.
There's a movie. You saw it, Taking Deborah Logan.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The point when the cameraman, one of the 2 cameramen was like, yeah, I'm out, and like drives off. That guy is my fucking hero.
We don't see his ass again.
No, he goes home. You never see him throughout the rest of the movie. He is done. I'm like, yes, that is how you respond. Hey, not my problem. Fuck this shit. I'm out.
Yeah, I get it. I love that. We don't see that enough. So Will decides to do it. He goes to look at the first victim's house, which is yet to be cleaned up, and or the second victim's house. And
yeah, they have police like parked out there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so you took the time to park police out there, but we're not going to clean up the crime scene yet. You're telling me you're still looking at the crime scene, huh?
Well, I guess they wanted Graham to have a pass through it probably, and he's,
Oh yeah, they're one FBI guy they got, the one they got that.
Nobody stumbles onto important information like Will Graham.
I love that. It was like the whole movie. Wait, what if? Okay, new movie idea. He says no, commits to it, but he keeps stumbling on fucking information.
I feel like I saw something like that.
Like he just wanders into the house and he's like, God damn it.
Yeah, it was like a guy who's like, I don't want to do this, but he keeps accidentally figuring it out. It was a movie I watched. It might have been The Thin Man from 34. It was like a detective comedy where he's like, I'm not solving this case. And then he kept like, but hold on a second. Like, nope, not my problem. But there's this thing. Like he just kept being like, all right, fine. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so later just like stumbling constantly after he's already said no.
But what Dollarhide does to these people is so grisly. He rapes the woman, the wife, kills the kids, kills the dad, and then puts mirror fragments in all their eyes so they can watch him rape the wife. Because that's what the dragon tells him to do.
But isn't that after you already killed them?
Yes.
Okay.
But he wants them to watch with like mirror eyes.
Oh yeah.
Will figures out that he must have taken off the glove because of the talcum powder, and he finds a print on her eye. But he's like, I can't do this alone, which makes me think like, why did Crawford even bother if Will needs backup?
Right? Oh, you can't do it alone? Maybe we go to that team at the FB fucking I you're supposed to have that can do this also.
Maybe Ken Lung, who figured out quite a bit like of the cipher and actually did some police work. Instead, we're like, no, let's go talk to the serial killer. Like, there's it's not
You got Ken Lung, you got, based off the timeline when this film's in, you got a certain new recruit in training. Like literally anyone but Will.
I didn't realize the timeline of Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs like bumps up right up against one another. So Buffalo Bill was killing while the Red Dragon was killing.
I think so. Weird. Which I will say, I didn't think worked all that well. I'll say it.
I agree. That was some tease that we didn't need.
Yeah. I know we haven't gotten there yet, but when that happened, I'm like, I get it. You're doing it for the fans, but having it literally happen right after all this does not make a lick of fucking sense.
Although maybe that is why Crawford needed Will, because most of the FBI is hunting Buffalo Bill.
okay, he's still a shitty management of resources then.
I'd like to know how in just like a couple days Harvey Keitel morphed into Scott Glenn.
What's the time lapse between Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal? Because isn't it a different actor in Hannibal also?
I don't. Yeah, it's like a brief. It's not anybody big. It's just a brief appearance by Crawford. But yeah, it is a different actor.
And
that's supposed to be 10 years. 10 years between Lambs and Hannibal.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense then.
Yeah, but apparently it's like a week and a half between Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs, despite the fact that it doesn't look like 1990.
No, not at all. That's why I said, like, I remember watching going, like, why did they choose to do that? Like, all you had to do was, like, as soon as he gets done writing the letter, have a blackout a couple of years later pop up, and then have that scene, and you would have been fine. But you're like, no, we need it to happen right after. Now you're assuming that, like, apparently he just forgets about Will completely in silence. He's like, huh, that guy didn't listen to me. Hello, Clarice. Like, all right, man.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever.
Go after Will in Hannibal, so it's like, okay, what?
I wonder why they never called in Will Graham to help. That would have been a cool thing to happen in Hannibal if Clarice went to go talk to Will Graham and they hunted Lecter together. That would have been really cool.
You see how like having that tease kind of like fumbles everything that comes after. It's like, all right, we probably didn't need to do that tease, or we could have just done it better. Had they done it better? It basically not do it like literally right after the events that we just witnessed.
Because it means like the press the Red Dragon completely, nobody ever talked about him again.
Red Dragon vanished. Lecter forgave Will apparently and was like, yeah, I'm never hunting him down again. He put me in here and I get out at the end of silence. Like, maybe Will never bothers to go hunt him down. Like, okay.
Maybe he got Will. Maybe maybe he did that. Maybe he went to Florida and was like, I'm going to eat these people.
I'm not counting anything that hasn't been shown.
Fine. So he goes to we meet Dr. Chilton again, who's still such a piece of shit. And is like, I want to write a book about Lecter, but nobody will talk to me.
Yeah, I like how he's just like grilling Will Graham on stuff, and you can just see in Nora's eyes, like, shut the fuck up and leave me alone. Let me do my job. You run the fucking mental hospital here, buddy.
I love, but Lecter and Will's meeting is great because you can tell like Lecter doesn't show a lot of, he doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, but he fucking hates Will Graham.
Oh, like, yeah.
This like disdain is like, how did you catch me, you goddamn plebe?
Yeah, it's like, do you see where like, there's that almost like false friendship there. Like he was only nice to him because, hey, I'm nice to him, I act like I'm his friend, it gets him off my back. But in reality, he just feels like, hey, look, I'm fucking, it's that rich snobby mentality, right? I'm Hannibal Lecter. I go to opera. I host fancy dinner parties. You're beneath me. And also I'm just being nice, so you stay the fuck out of my business.
Well, Will tells him, you have disadvantages. You're insane. Lecter's like, meh, fair enough.
Got me there, Will.
Yeah, touche. It's like, I need your help on this. And Lecter's like, all right, fine. Because he's got nothing. Yeah.
What if like Lecter, like after he called him insane, just started resorting to like second grade school, like elementary school playground insults? You're a nose picker or something like that. He just loses all his cool.
I think it would be funny as hell if Lecter looks at the file for 2 seconds, hands it back, and is like, his name is Francis Dollarhead. He works at a Photoshop place. Like, you'll find him here. Yeah, because you do get the vibe like he knew who he was immediately.
Yeah, because then it was a whole, again, it kind of doesn't work. The whole twist that like they've been talking to each other via some form of mail. Yeah, how did he get the toilet paper in? How did Dollarhead get that into the cell? Up his ass? I don't know.
I feel like it'd be pretty illegible if he did that.
Like I assume what movies have taught me is that most things smoking in prison, you have to put it up your ass.
Not this prison. Lecter doesn't exactly get visitors. Like he doesn't get to go anywhere. So I don't think that's how it worked.
We don't know this.
I don't know. Let's talk. All right. So what are some other scenes where do you want to go next?
The scene that kind of after this that really popped out to me, other than obviously the lost stuff that Ray finds, was PSH is a whole like wheelchair fucking torture air quote.
Oh, we'll get to that. First, we should probably talk about Rafe's introduction. Francis, who is like overcompensating, like everything. Apparently, when he was a young lad, his psycho grandma would threaten to cut off his dick when he wet the bed. I wonder how empty that threat was, because do you think he kept wetting the bed?
I would have done it. I would have done it in front of her face. I would have challenged her.
I would have pissed on her bed while she's in it.
I would have shit on her bed. I would have upped the ante. Like, cut out my asshole. See what happens.
Cut out my asshole. See what happens. Jesus Christ. That's so weird. I'm surprised Dollarhide didn't just like burn her in her bed or something.
I know. First off, I want to know like what kind of parents he had. How many times did he get stuck having to deal with this grandma?
Well, I got the feeling he was an orphan, like grandma raised him.
Oh, yeah, that's extra shitty.
Yeah. And he's like, lifting weights and got facial reconstructive surgery, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, it looks damn good. I was proud of him. Like, or the movie came out in the early 2000s. It takes place in what, the 80s?
Well, apparently, like a couple weeks before Silence of the Lambs, so 91.
So, 91. Yeah, that's right. So, apparently 91, they had some good reconstructive surgery going on back then.
Weird that Buffalo Bill couldn't just get this surgery and he wouldn't have to kill all these women. Apparently, it looks pretty good.
He was too busy worrying about people putting the lotion on skin.
Yeah. In the book, Dollarhide is like quasi fucking Moto. Like he's really disfigured and weird looking, and you get why he is so isolated from society. But when he's Rafe Fiennes, like who's gonna have problems with this guy? I guess they went for more emotional scars, which makes sense.
God fucking kill me. I'm getting so, let me tell you, thanks to Punisher season 2, I am so sick and tired of hearing it's emotional scars. Fuck you. Make Jigsaw look fucked up, you assholes.
Yeah, I second that. Maybe in the MCU we'll get a variant of Jigsaw who actually looks like he got, scraped along a mirror.
Yeah, one that actually looks like what happens to your face when you get it shoved into a fucking mirror and scraped against it.
Yeah, Dominic West.
Probably sound effects to back it up. Sorry, I ever since that show, I just really hate the term. It's more of an emotional scar. Like, go fuck yourself. Give me the goods. Show me the fucking goods.
I think he's wearing his grandma's dentures too to do that teeth thing. Which is so sick.
It's really gross.
He's keeping a big journal about Lecter for some reason.
Yeah, I did like his tattoo piece on his back. I think with the part he's killing people. That was a really nice tattoo piece.
I want to know who the fuck made that tattoo, because he didn't do it. Like, who did he go to, like, while these red dragon murders are happening, and said, "I want a dragon on my back"? Like,
that's yours, and they give a shit.
You should have called somebody. So
you have to go for multiple sessions too. I'm going to tell you that much right now. You do not get that done in one session.
No, you don't. Which means this guy had a lot of time to think about. It's weird that I'm putting this giant dragon tattoo on the back of this really odd guy.
Right. That goes literally from all his back and his ass. It went to his ass.
Oh, yeah.
Which, as someone who is tattooed and wants to get more, I'm not tattooing my ass anytime soon or ever. I don't know why. I just do not want to do my ass. So I guess props to Francis here.
I suppose.
I don't know. I have zero interest in getting my ass tattooed.
Well, Francis really hates the name Tooth Fairy. and scratches out, and especially scratches out Lowndes because he keeps calling him the Tooth Fairy. I think Lowndes is the one who fucking called this guy the Tooth Fairy.
That makes sense. Yeah, this guy was such a tool. I like how Edward Norton almost fucking killed him when he sees the mountains.
They got a beef.
Yeah.
And they use Lowndes as a way to catch this guy. I love that. They tell him, like, he's impotent. He's a product of an incestuous home. He's just the worst guy. They just give him all these negative aspects and then like take a fake picture in front of the FBI building, and Lowndes just runs with it. I mean, I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, he runs with it because like he gets up and he's like, all right, so let's make sure I do so good. Like, I scratched your back, you're going to scratch mine. I'm like, I love how immediately they're like, dude, get the fuck out of this office. Like, shut the fuck up.
Crawford's like, you're gonna do what we say, and then maybe we'll talk about your federal indictment. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So the Dollarhide is like, oh, nope, and kidnaps Freddy, who wakes up glued to a wheelchair and is like, oh no. Immediately he's like, oh no. He knows exactly where he is, what's happening.
One could argue that a certain young aspiring filmmaker at the time, so this came out 2 years for a certain very big hit movie that redefined horror in the early 2000s, maybe watched this scene and went, I know how to up that.
What are you talking about here?
James Bond, Jesus Christ.
Who got glued and Saw?
No one, but I'm just saying, like, this, I remember watching this going, this feels like proto Saw. Like, this would be like John Kramer tape playing, like, hello, Mr. Lown.
We got a glue guy. Remember Chester Bennington in Saw 7? He got glued.
Oh, yeah, so see, fuck you. There was glue in Saw.
What? You said 2 years. I was thinking, I had Saw in mind, but I'm like, there's nobody got glued.
I meant the start of it, the start of the franchise.
You got to be more specific.
Oh, now I have to be more. Oh my God. God, you suck.
This is the scene that scared me as a kid. The scene where like Freddy's torture. Because it got too real. Hoffman's such a great actor. He sold it. Like, he sold the absolute terror of it. I love when the dragon is just like in his face saying, like, I am the great red dragon and you owe me awe. And he's just like absolutely terrified, completely devoid of words. It's crazy.
I would have absolutely tried to rip my fucking body off that chair. I know my skin would have come, but I would have tried. I'd be like, get me the fuck out of this.
Well, I love when he tells him, look, or I'll staple your eyelids open. And he's just like, no, he starts crying. It's too fucking real, man. It's freaky. And then when he just, bites his lips off or his tongue or whatever the fuck that was and lights his ass on fire.
But
and
the lead up to that moment when he says the way he wants them to say, and you just see him go like, where are you? Or whatever the fuck he asked. Like, it's that silent moment. And I'm like, wait, why is he not saying anything? This isn't going to end well. This is not good. Why is he quiet? And then he just fucking pops up out of the goddamn shadow and bites a part of his face off, whatever face part it was. I thought it was nose, but even when you see him spit it out, I'm like, the fuck he's just spit out.
Okay, I'm gonna look up the Wikipedia and see if it's all right. He bites off his lips. That's what it is.
His lips. Okay, so he bites off his lips, and yeah, it's really like the setup for that is like really, really solid. And then takes the time to put him on fire and just toss him down the hill.
Oh yeah, that was a young kid. That freaked me the fuck out. I left the room. And I was like, there's some nightmares. I didn't watch the rest of the movie for a few years.
Jesus.
Yeah, freaked me out. I love how completely not guilty the entire FBI is about this. All just like, well, shit happens.
Yeah. They're like, well, we didn't like him anyway, so I mean, oh well.
Yeah. Graham literally calls him a bonus.
I feel like in a way they were like, can we like thank him? Like, can we just thank him for at least this one single kill?
Somehow they get like a PO box near Dollarhide and they just send him like a cupcake. It's like, Good work.
FBI is proud of you.
My God. So around this time, Dollarhide starts dating this hot blind chick, and she does not pick up on signals well at all because he is giving off a very weird vibe that she is just not seeing. I mean, not reading. My mistake.
Yeah, because she's blind, Connor. She can't see.
You can't hear somebody talk and think they sound off.
Yeah, but they can't see it now, can they? When they're blind, you son of a bitch.
I misspoke. My mistake. But she could hear him saying just tense shit. And just like she can feel him just standing there weird, right? I mean,
that her other senses are obviously working fine.
I think her libido is in overdrive, and that's what's causing
that's it. Based on, again, we can go into more depth now that we're getting to that scene, right? Based off that scene, I would argue that her urge for sex and our relationship, hey, 2022, you pursue what you want to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Over true the fact that yes, you cannot see that this guy's a red flag because you're blind, but you can sense it still with the way he's talking and the way he like you can still have that moment of like, this guy doesn't seem right.
Yeah, maybe she was, and then she felt that cannon he's got, and she's like, "Oh, saddle up."
Yeah, I'm telling you, she was, the moment she touched it, she's like, "Get it out now."
Yep. And he's just like, "I'm gonna watch this tape. You do whatever you need to do, but I'm gonna watch this tape." Dude. So, yeah.
Are we saying that Ralph Fiennes is packing?
In the movie, we're saying Frances Dollarhide is packing.
Yeah, but it's played by actor Ralph Fiennes.
We don't see anything. I don't know, she could have lied. She could have been like, "Oh, this sock is huge." I don't know.
Either way, she was very quick to get down there and do what was necessary. And I'm sure, much like those dinner guests, she has a lot of regrets now.
Yeah, they both ate things they weren't proud of.
I don't think she's gonna be rushing to do that again for someone.
I don't know, maybe. We'll never know. She I guess he breaks up with her or something, and then she like goes out with that Mandy guy.
Yeah. She was very quick to go with that. Yeah. Maybe that thing was working in overdrive.
Maybe she's just banging her way through the zoo or wherever they were.
Yeah. Did they really get specific about where they worked? Because I didn't really get a good sense of where they worked.
It was the zoo, or like he worked for like a photo development lab. And I think she worked at that lab too, but then there was also like a zoo with a tiger. I don't remember.
Yeah, because she has that moment where he takes her down there and she gets to touch the tiger.
Yeah. She gets to touch the tiger. In more ways than one in this movie.
Fun fact, whenever I watch something on my TV, right, and there's a dog involved, my dog that actually lives in this apartment and I own and love gets wide-eyed and like damn near he has ran my TV and then stopped and stared like inches away. And I have to be like, hey man, it's a fucking TV dog. But any other animal, he won't do it to you. So there's a fucking tiger on my TV and he doesn't give a shit.
Okay, I'm not really sure what that was about, but all right.
I'm saying that if the tiger wanted to leap out of the TV and attack me, I'm fucked. But God bless another dog gets into this apartment.
Okay, hold on. So you're telling me that if somehow a tiger wandered into your apartment, Duke's not going to save you?
No. He's going to sleep.
I probably could have told you that. That tiger's going to fuck your dog up.
You don't know what Duke's capable of.
I know what that tiger's capable of. Why are we talking about this? What the fuck? If I remember correctly, she grabs the tiger's nuts. Does that happen?
What? Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
Did she grab the tiger's nuts?
either happened in the movie or it happened in the book, but that blind lady grabbed that tiger's nuts.
I do not recall Grand Tiger's Nuts, and I have questions as to why the book would even write that.
Well, the book didn't write anything. Thomas Harris wrote the book.
Who's Thomas Harris?
Let me look again in the. All right. All right. There's nothing in the synopsis about her grabbing the tiger's nuts, but I remember that.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
Maybe it was in the book. I'm gonna stand next to this. I'm not letting this one go. That happened.
This is the weirdest thing to stand next to.
I will die on this hill.
Of tiger nuts.
Grab that tiger's. God damn it! It happened.
All right, Joe. Bye.
All right, plot summary on IMDb. It's got to be in here. It's not in
No,
here.
she did not grab the tiger. She touched the tiger.
She touched. It happened in the book. Then I remember that. There's no way there's more than one movie.
Why?
A blind lady touches a tiger.
Why are you so obsessed with a blind lady touching a tiger's dick?
Because it was weird and made me think like, oh, she really is hard up.
I feel like you wrote that in your book. Did you write that in your book? Are you trying to deflect?
I don't think I have any tigers in my book, and if I did, no one's grabbing their nuts. Okay, moving on. So Reba starts to get into Francis's head, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to kill anymore." And the dragon's like, "Well, tough titty," and he decides, "Well, I got to destroy the dragon." So he goes to somehow makes up some bullshit about a thesis, and goes to the museum, gets a loan with this 200-year-old painting, and hits the lady, knocks her out, and just starts eating the fucking painting. I love how easy it was to get in there.
Right? Like it was that easy to get in there and be able to have access to a 200-year-old painting.
I want to chow down on a Da Vinci. Do I just have to like make a phone call and say like, I'm from insert college here and I would love to see this painting?
Yep. You don't need credentials or anything.
Apparently not. And he just rips this thing in half and just starts eating it. I love that. That cannot have tasted good. That was 200-year-old paint.
No. And can we, not only can I look at your painting, can we take it out of the frame and everything, keeping it like together?
Well, I think it was archived. And I think, I don't know. It should never have gotten that far.
Look, I'm just saying the idea of that being the actual painting is more hilarious to me. That the museum was like, yeah, you can have one copy of this painting because it got painted 200 years ago. There's not another copy in existence. You can take it to the back room. We'll take it out of the frame for you. We'll take it out of the fucking the case, the glass that keeps the air of today from damaging it any more than because it's 200-year-old paper. And you can look at it all you want. Touch it. We don't care.
No security. Just this one lady. Unreal. Oh, that other lady wanders in. Can you imagine if you worked at the museum, you wander in on some psycho eating a painting? What do you do?
I would have left. I would have ran. I would have made sure you got caught right then and there. I'd be like, oh my God, I need to run and scream as loud as I can.
Oh, well, that puts, him squarely in Will's crosshairs because, who else is going to wander in and eat the red dragon painting?
What if like the FBI was going to let him go, right? Because he killed their most annoying journalist that's on their back.
As long as he's done, we're done.
Yeah, right. He's done. We'll leave him alone. But then they drew a line at the painting. They're like, "Did you just eat a 200-year-old fucking painting?" All right, dude. That's the line. Okay, we drew a line in the sand. We gotta come after you. Like, what if that was like the line right there? Like that was too far for the FBI.
I think at that point they figure out who, that this guy works for Chroma and has been watching home videos at work. And it really, I watched a 1 hour photo pretty recently, and it really made me think about how much access we used to give people to our personal lives through like photo development labs, and just how much of our lives they got to see. It's unnerving. You ever see 1 hour photo?
I haven't. I've been wanting to because I heard that's a really good Robin Williams film.
He's so creepy in this movie because he's just like, he has convinced himself he's part of their family, and to them he's just the dude at the photo lab. But he has so many of their pictures just like all over his apartment, and it's like he knows everything about them because of their photographs. It's creepy. And in Red Dragon, he uses their home movies to vet their houses and know how to get in there. It's just an interesting thing to remember. Those don't really exist anymore.
Yeah, but
Thank
I
God.
mean, you act like people still can't get access because I mean, look how many times phones get hacked. Look at the fact that someone out there, not to get into the fucking conspiracies, but someone out there is listening because you get personalized ads all the time, right, on Facebook and stuff because they pay attention to what you're looking at on the internet and shit like that. So like, someone's listening, right? Someone access all this shit on your phone.
Well, I'm not saying that's not the case, but I'm just saying like this specifically was, families use this a lot, and people learned intimate details about families that way, and it was just that particularly was like really creepy when you think about it. But yeah, it all that's pretty much just become social media now. You can just look on somebody's Facebook and know everything about them in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we are like the weirdest country that wants to live a life of privacy, but then like we'll blast everything online.
Yeah, it's weird. Jeff Franklin Jella was supposed to voice the dragon, but his part got cut.
Really?
It's supposed Dollarhide was supposed to talk to this thing, and it was supposed to be this loud booming, like "you will kill in my name" kind of thing. But Brett Ratner thought this is goofy and cut Jella out of the movie.
I mean, it could have been cool if you done it right.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of, we're kind of seeing half the battle. We don't know what the dragon's telling Francis. I kind of like that. Makes him look crazier. Yeah. I mean, if we heard the dragon, we might think like, oh, he's actually possessed by something.
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, that's just to me like, if you're going for the ideal, like it could work either way. If you're going for either like he's hearing a voice in his head, I wouldn't have thought he was possessed by something. I was just thinking, oh yeah, that's the voice in his head.
Well, good for you. I think other people would have been like, he's a demon.
As I've kind of said how I've said to you and Emo Trash, how I feel people are going to react to a certain film by Robert Eggers called The Northman. My faith in general audiences being smart isn't always there. So I can see where they're like, yeah, people might think it's best instead of being like, no, that's the voice he hears in his head. You know what I mean? Smart people like us would get it, but some audience members would just be like, oh, is it because he's possessed? Nope, you clearly don't know how schizophrenia or bipolar disorder works, do you, buddy?
Nope. So Reba decides to go out with the asshole dude who has been bothering her at work, I guess, to get back at Francis, because she doesn't seem like a very nice person.
No, I would not have pursued her. I'd been like, okay, well, I'm done.
Yeah, like she blew him. He didn't call her, so he's gonna go out with she's gonna go out with an asshole and hope he reacts. And oh boy, does he!
He's gonna go out with. She's gonna pick someone else to blow. See how he likes that.
Yeah, check out the big brain on Brett, because that's what she goes out with. Yeah, Frank Whaley was the guy who got shot to death at the beginning of Pulp Fiction. That was his big moment. So I kept thinking about that the whole time. Francis kills him pretty quickly and takes him back to his place, starts lighting the place up, acts like he kills himself. Reba thinks he killed himself. And the feds get there right as the house is in flames, and they think Dollarhide's dead. So instead of, waiting for a final autopsy or something, Graham's just like, well, my work is done, and goes back to Florida.
I've done a good job here today, and I'm going home to my wife.
Yep. Thanks to Lecter's.
I'm about to say that like that scene in Clue. And now I'm going to go back home to my wife.
Yeah. I love Clue. That would be such a fun episode.
Such a good movie, especially if you actually especially just watching each ending play out. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. That's how I always watch it. I never randomize. I always watch all three endings.
Yeah, I'm like, just give me all three. So what is it? The one guy, the one time he says, I'm going home to sleep with my wife. And the other time his boyfriend actually comes up.
So Lecter interfered, gave the tooth fairy, the dragon, Will's home address. Nobody ever really did anything about that except for looked in on the kids, on Josh and Molly, I think it was.
Yeah, they relocated them, and then when the case and they thought Dollarhide died, they're like, "All right, you can go back home."
Yeah, Molly came back from her very lucrative weed business and decided to continue being Will's wife. That's a Weeds reference to those who know Mary Louise Parker's career. Whoosh. Anyway,
I knew. I just remember going, "Hey, Mary Louise Parker's in this."
So, the dragon shows up and is like, "I'm going to take down this guy who kind of maybe ruined my killing spree." And Will had the dragon's journal, so he knew about grandma. And when Will walks in on Francis holding a knife or was it a gun or a knife?
It was a knife.
It was a knife to his son's neck, and his son has pissed his pants. Will decides to use some psychology and starts berating his son with some horrific shit that is not going to, he's going to need some therapy over this night.
He goes in so hard on his son, calls him a racial slur, which I guess now that we know what we know about Brett Ratner isn't a surprise.
He starts with, "I have never seen a filthy little beast as disgusting as you," and the kid's like, like, what? He's so confused.
Right? I would have look, twist of the story. It doesn't work, and his son gets killed anyway. Can you imagine that?
Francis just goes, "Shut up," and stabs his kid in the throat.
Yeah,
that could have happened easily.
Hey, exactly. And then you're sitting there going, "Wow, the last thing I said to my kid was I called him the F word, and I told him I'd cut his dick off if he pissed his pants again." And wow, I said a lot of mean things. Now he's dead.
Thankfully, though, it does trigger for Francis, and he's like, "Ah!" and throws the kid and attacks Will. And Francis has some beef on Will, so it's a bit of a one-sided fight.
Yeah, I mean, Will gets, to his credit, gets his son out of there and them into the room pretty quick to lock it and give him time to get the gun loaded.
Yeah, Francis and Will shoot at each other through the locked door, and they both take a lot of bullets.
Yeah, again, how Will survives a bookends with gunshots, quite a plane to his body, and survives both times. Mary Louise Parker, now that, look, she should be hopping on that dick action as quick as Reba was on Francis if her man is surviving bullet wounds like that.
Well, she's probably really fucking traumatized by shooting a serial killer in the head. That one's going to be hard to get over.
She had a really good shot on that head. That was fucking precise.
Well, they mentioned earlier that he taught her how to fire a gun.
Well, they show it. They don't even mention it. They show it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Good job. That was a test you passed. And yeah, Molly can shoot a gun, and she shoots it right into Francis's head. And I guess FBI cleanup takes the body. They make s'mores, maybe.
Yeah, I would have requested s'mores still. Even if I would have laughed when I was like, "Hey, look, okay." As he's bleeding on the floor, right, son. I know I've said a lot of mean things to you, and I'm bleeding on the floor right now, but I still expect those s'mores.
I think it'd be hilarious. As Will is being wheeled out by the paramedics, he's bleeding out. Molly's in tears. You just see Josh in tears come out of the kitchen with a bag of marshmallows, a box of candy bars, and a box of graham crackers, and just walk towards the fire.
Before the ambulance leaves, he comes up to him with a plate and the s'more ready to go.
"I made this for you, Daddy. I won't pee my pants again. I'm sorry." He doesn't even care about the serial killer shit. He's just so hurt by what Dad said to him. Jesus Christ.
I really hope Will had a moment where he saw him and I was like, "Look, I know I said a lot of very scary shit to you. I meant none of it. it was a trick to get him to get let go of you.
He dials back a bit, like, well, not all of it. You really do need to watch. You gotta figure out your bedwetting situation. We got to figure this out. Like, you're too old for this.
Yeah. I'm not gonna cut your dick off, like Jesus Christ. But like,
I'm not gonna cut it off, but maybe a clothespin situation. We got to figure something out.
Yeah, I can't deal with this anymore. Dad,
I spend so much money on sheets on a weekly basis. This is really, it's driving me insane.
He's like, Dad, what was that F word you called me? Don't worry about that, son. Just know that no matter how you turn out as you go through puberty and your body changes, Dad will always love you.
But if you keep wet in your bed, nobody else will. So you got to work on that. So the film ends with Lecter sending Will a card and being like, hey, I'm still smarter than you. So don't let it go to your head. By the way, have a good vacation. And I love Will just crumbles it and throws it in the ocean.
I love how it's literally just like, nanny, nanny, boo, boo. I'm smarter than you. And it's like, dude, you're still in jail. Like, what power do you have?
I don't know. I mean, he sicked Dollarhide on Will from jail. So he can do quite a lot from jail.
This is true. But yes, I do like how Will's like, just throws in the water. Just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm on my yacht, or sailboat, where the fuck he was on.
Yeah. That's when Chilton walks in and is like, hey, there's a young FBI lady to come here to see you. I'll tell her you said no. And he's like, well, what's her name? If it's Clarice, I'll do it. He doesn't say that. It'd be amazing if he said that.
If it's Clarice, we have a whole other movie to do, so bring her in here.
I only talk to women named Clarice. You know this.
Never know when Hollywood's knocking, am I right?
And that's Red Dragon. I know we kind of mocked it relentlessly, but it's actually a really good movie.
It's a superb movie.
Here are some Filmgasm facts, and some of these are absolutely fucking bonkers. Number one, Anthony Hopkins, Edward Norton, Ralph Fiennes, and Philip Seymour Hoffman all turned this film down. Then Ted Talley, the screenwriter of Silence of the Lambs, came on board, and they all changed their minds. So without him, we don't have Lecter, we don't have Graham, we don't have Freddie Lounds, and we don't have the Red Dragon.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Good job, Ted.
Teddy.
Next up, this was just freaky. Red Dragon is also the name of a rumored book in the Vatican Library said to be able to summon the devil. And thus it gives the Pope some of his authority. So apparently there's a secret Vatican book called the Red Dragon that can summon Satan himself.
Well,
interesting.
Not creepy at all.
Yeah, I'd love to take a gander at that.
I would not.
Next up, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I don't fuck with that shit. I'm not looking at it.
I don't care. I'll summon the devil. I don't give a shit.
You stay the fuck away from me when that happens.
Yeah, I'm like Ron White drunk on a plane. Take it down. I don't give a shit.
I have like, I don't give a shit about law stuff, but like when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm like, nope, don't want to mess with it. Leave me out.
You got to watch Dan Cummins' most recent special, Get Out of Here, Devil, as he does a whole bit on how society would be progressing so much faster if people weren't worried about what the devil was up to. Great stuff. Number 3, Philip Seymour Hoffman insisted on actually being glued to the chair during his encounter with Ralph Fiennes. He really got glued to the fucking wheelchair.
How did they get him out?
I'm assuming with some kind of industrial solvent.
Also, again, look, this goes back, and no disrespect to PSH, great actor. RIP, all that stuff. But again, this goes back to what I kind of agree with those comments about method acting that have been made by a lot of actors.
Yeah.
You're an actor. Just act like you're glued to the fucking chair. You don't need to actually be glued.
How do you act like you're glued to a chair?
They can literally do some kind of glue that doesn't have to actually be like that kind of shit.
Well, I'm sure they didn't use super glue. I'm sure they used some Elmer's or something to make it look like he had some pull. I doubt they really super glued his ass to a wheelchair.
Sounds like they did, though. Sounds like they did.
I hope they didn't, because that would be horrifying. And this next bit of trivia is going to blow your fucking mind. I couldn't believe this. The death of Freddie Lounds was filmed by setting a real stuntman wrapped in protective material on fire as his wheelchair rolled down the street. No puppets or animatronics were involved. That was a real guy wrapped in protective material and set on fucking fire.
What the hell, Brett Ratner?
I hope that guy got compensated big time.
Okay, so one, this is why the Oscars really need to include a best fucking stunt sometime soon.
Yep.
And two, that scene did not require a fucking actor to risk their life, or a stunt person to risk their life. Like, you know what, Brett Ratner, say what you just did to fucking, holy God, Jason Voorhees' face, Kane Hodder, Jesus Christ, my blinked hard. Say that shit, what you just did to his face. See how long you last. Yeah, for that scene, you easily could have used a fucking dummy. Yep. And no one would have fucking noticed.
Although you do have that tremble in his hands when he's being wheeled down, that makes you think like, oh, he's still alive. But that could have been some kind of animatronic. You know what I mean? Like that could have been some kind of mechanical thing they could have achieved.
I'm saying, like, literally, that scene, like, that's insane that was agreed on. But
yeah, pretty wild.
If I was a seer, I'd be like, I'm sorry, what did you just say to me? No, fork out the fuck. I'd be like, no, you fork out the fucking money for a dummy and some electronic shit. I'm not putting a goddamn stuntman in that.
I'm surprised that the studio was willing to finance that stunt, considering the very likely possibility of horrific failure.
Hollywood doesn't care about stuntmen. That's the thing. Hollywood does not give a fuck about their stunt people.
That's true. They fucking should, though. I mean, I've never met anybody who would be willing to be set on fire and rolled down a highway.
Yeah, I mean, look what was it? The recent issue they had in the I think it was the 9th Fast and Furious film with their stunt person. I think like they died or got injured like bad. It was on one of the Fast and Furious films, at least.
They all bleed together for me. I don't know. I believe you, but I don't remember that.
I remember reading something about like somebody got like really fucking injured. I think it also happened with Expendables, but I think they got like injured and then like they stopped it immediately, whatever the fuck was going on, because you're dealing with action stars that care a bit more about their stunt people.
I know that on the set of one of the Harry Potter movies, I think it was the last one, one of Daniel Radcliffe's stunt doubles like had a severe spinal injury and like can't walk anymore.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that shit's real. Like it's incredibly dangerous, and we just, they don't get enough credit. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I'm not impressed that the stuntman agreed that. I'm just saying that scene could have been easily achieved without wrapping someone in that much protective clothing and then dousing them on fire. Like,
yeah, that's just, like, you can see it in the movie. It's a full body flame.
Yeah,
so
it's
impressive. I give Red Dragon an 8. It's not as good as Silence of the Lambs, but it's slightly better than Hannibal. It's a decent serial killer flick and a good watch.
Yeah, I give it an 8 as well. It's probably the best. See, it's a prequel. It surprisingly doesn't, to me, fall under a lot of the prequel negatives that happen to a lot of these films. Other than like the tease at the end. Again, I know we talked about like tease was fine. Just maybe do a better job of like spreading the timeline out there, so it's not like, oh, as soon as we get done with this, boom, Silence of the Lambs. Like that was a little much. Besides that, yes, going back to the root of Silence and having that structure really works in this film's favor for the most part. Rafe Fiennes is terrifying. Yeah, really good film. 8 out of 10.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgasm Productions. You can always check out our website, filmgasm.com, for reviews, articles, new trailers for stuff. And you can email us at filmgasm@gmail.com if you have any recommendations or feedback. And of course, you can always send us a message through the socials. If you want to support the show through Anchor, you can click on support this podcast on your podcast provider. Throw us anything you feel like we deserve, even if it's nothing. Next week,
we think we deserve, even if it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, could be. You might hate this show. I don't know why you're listening all the way to the end of it if you hate it, but hey.
Hate listen.
Yeah, if you're hate fucking this show, you know what? Send us some money so we can make more for you to hate. Sure, there's somebody out there who's like, I fucking hate this show, but I can't stop.
It's like the meth.
Yeah, it's addictive. You got to know, like, what do they think of that movie? God damn it. Next week, we see the return of new Filmgasm contributor Christian Aguilar, who has chosen the creepy 2007 Spanish language ghost movie, The Orphanage, as next week's episode. This is one I have not yet seen, but it's always been on my list. Directed by Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom's J.A. Bayona and produced by Guillermo del Toro, I'm very excited to watch The Orphanage, which will be one of the few foreign language films we've touched on this podcast. Not for lack of trying. There's just a lot of films out there.
There is, yeah. I know I came in strong with The Raid. I think it was one of the few other ones we did. I was adamant about doing The Raid. I've heard a lot of good things about The Orphanage. I haven't seen it myself. I unfortunately have been spoiled the fucking twist. I'm not going to do it to you. Go in blind, enjoy.
I appreciate that.
I forgot how it got fucking ruined for me. I was like, God damn it. Still want to check it out. I've heard a lot of good things about it. So,
well, I'm excited. I like Christian's picks thus far. Jeepers Creepers was a fun one, and this seems like a personal film. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say. And of course, I love being introduced to new shit through this show. Do not miss the other Lecter prequel, Hannibal Rising, on Fridays Beyond the Bad, The Silence of the Lambs on Oscar Sunday, and something fun on Monday's sneak preview. Still figuring it out. Neither of us want to see Liam Neeson's memory. So we're going to figure out some kind of cool countdown or something to do, and we'll have a blast with that. Until then, don't publicly insult an active serial killer, or you may just end up glued to a wheelchair and set on fire. And while you're at it, keep watching movies.